This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. I'm going to say this word. Sometimes when people hear this word, they conjure up a certain picture, and it's not necessarily wrong, but that's not exactly where we're going. The word is spirituality. And a lot of times you say that word, and a lot of people connect it with religion, although you can, but there's much more going on there, especially supporting how we feel, our emotions, and specifically our mental health. We're going to talk about that today, how even getting spiritual, and we'll define what that means, can help you heal from so much. She helps many with that, first and foremost as a psychotherapist, but also helping those who have been in car accidents and need to work through that. There's a lot going on there. It's so great to have her back with us, and she is Miriam Rosario. She's back on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Great to be here.
I will tell you firsthand, before we even jump in, that recognizing this thing, spirituality, and I know there's another term that we're going to dig into called psycho-spirituality, game changer for me in every area, even in the last 5 years in my current journey, just made a big difference. Now, what is the difference, or is there a difference between psycho-spirituality and spirituality?
There is a difference because in the psycho-spirituality, we're combining psychology with spirituality. So it's our whole body, our whole mind, body, and spirit, as opposed to just, I guess, mind and body.
See, I never even considered that, blending all three of those together. We're going to go deep here, but how do you even do that? Like, what am I missing here? All along.
Well, it starts with what your belief system is. So from day to day, we function, we use our minds, we have some issues, we process through them, and we can do all of that, and we can exclude our spiritual self. But for people who have a belief system and have some spiritual sense, a spiritual life, they like to combine them because it's helpful to do that if that is your way of life. And I have to say that my degree, actually, my master's degree is in psycho care and counseling. So it's pastoral care and counseling. Sorry about that. And so what my degree does is it included theology with psychology.
Wow.
So I come from that perspective, not saying that when the clients come, I am deemed what a Christian counselor is. That's very different. What I do is if the patient talks about their belief system and their spiritual self, then I'm able to include that because I have the background and the education to do that.
If you were to define what spiritual is, what would you say?
I would say is your belief system.
Some say that it is believing in something bigger than you. Would that come under that category?
It would. It would. Some people are very religious, and some people are very spiritual.
I'm processing this in real time as we go here. It's like I can only pilot from what I've learned or what I feel. Not that I don't believe in religion or a God, but I have different views here and there. And, I do believe there's something bigger than all of us. What it is, my jury's a little bit out on that. Call it the universe, this thing around us. Then you talk to my friend Trish, and she's like, who do you think created the universe? I'm like, all right. But I got to go hit up that debate again. But either way, it helps support you. And just some of the spiritual practices, maybe we'll get into in a moment. Holistically healing. That's what a lot of this is about. Not taking meds and things like that. There's a place for that. I get it. Um, let's look at the eyes of spirituality or psycho spirituality for holistic healing.
Okay. So you have a question?
Um, I'll start with you. You tell me, how does that look to you?
Well, to me, that looks like healing the whole person. Like I said previously, it would be the mind, body, and spirit. So it would be bringing the spirit within the healing, within the practice, whatever your belief system is. So there are people who believe that, um, or see energy, right? Or believe that there's energy around us. And I believe that. You can feel and you can sense other people's energies. When you meet someone, sometimes you have this great connection and it seems like you've known each other for years and you just continue to communicate with them very easily. And then there are others that you meet that sort of kind of repel you, and that person can be in a dark place. So you can kind of sense that energy.
Mm,
And so holistic healing would be to look at all of that, to look at how sensitive you are to other people's energies. And there are people who are very, very sensitive to other people's energies. That as soon as they walk into the room, they can sense if the person is negative or positive or sick or happy. And it affects them. If they don't know how to distinguish the difference between their energy and someone else's, then they start to take on other people's energies.
now you're talking my language. Like seriously, I've fine-tuned my energy radar in the last couple of years, and especially intuition, which different topic. But yeah, like you ever go to a party and you walk in and it's like, wow, yeah, this feels good. All right, yeah, definitely want to hang. Just nice, nice vibe. And then you walk into another one where it just is heavy, and you're thinking, I'm just going to tell them I got a text and I got to get out of here. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be the energy in the room, the collective
Mm-hmm.
energy. Just it's just heavy, and you just don't want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then certainly people taking your energy.
Right.
It's not even about time. It's not even about emotion. There's more going on there than we might even be aware of. And quite honestly, I'm starting to put up some barriers on that because I've been feeling it. It's pretty amazing when you start fine tuning in to what's going on there, right?
It is, and it's very helpful to understand what's happening so that you're able to protect yourself.
What are some of the things you do?
Well, some of the things that I do is I understand where I'm coming from and I'll double check how I feel and I know how I feel. And at this point in my life, I can tell when somebody else's energy is around me and I know that it's not mine. I'll take a step back. It gets a little bit tricky with people that you are intimate with and that you have close relationships with, but the feeling is still the same. So it's about just stepping back and understanding, you know what, this is yours. I'm not going to carry it. This is for you. And I usually send, unconditional energetic love for
Hmm.
healing.
How do you differentiate between the feeling of your energy and somebody else's?
It's a completely different feeling. It doesn't feel like it's yours.
I got to fine tune on that. I gotta amp that up a little bit because
Hmm.
I never even considered that. What is
Hmm.
your energy and what is somebody else's? Putting them into different categories, kind of like moving things to the side. This is me, this is you, whatever it might be. Um, Never thought of that. I'm more on the protection side at the moment. Where
Right.
just and you don't know until you know, but when you make some changes, let's say you have that person or two that just you hang with them, whatever they're in your life, but it just feels a little off. And then you just press the pause button, and then you realize, like, oh, I feel so much better. Like
Yes, it's that feeling, it's that difference. Like as a therapist, and I think most therapists are intuitives. So when I have a client who, let's say, is bipolar and they come into the session and they're manic, well, by the time that session is over, I am very high energy. I'm talking really fast and I'm, in a sense, manic, right? And I will get things done and I'm moving at a fast pace. And then I realize after maybe 20 or 30 minutes, whoa, you know, this is like, this is coming from the patient that I just saw. So it's actually very helpful to have a manic patient at the end of the day because it amps up my energy. But I understand that and I can transition and go with the flow when it comes to that, which is important as a therapist,
Hmm.
and psychospiritually speaking, it's important in order to heal when you're in session that we have a purpose, right? That we make meaning out of it because spiritual people are focused on what is our purpose in life? Where are we going from here? What is the meaning of what's happening right now? Where am I making a difference? How am I growing? Where am I heading? Like, I want to evolve. I want to emotionally mature. So that's the process that we go through.
When you say we, meaning the client or the therapist, or both?
Both.
Mm.
I mean, we're all on a journey, and it's understanding what that journey is. So as a therapist, I'm on a journey. And when I have a patient come in, then we're on a journey together, right? So I'm helping to guide the patient. And I'm also learning a lot from the patient as well. And it's important for me to learn because if I don't learn about them, I'm not going to be able to help with them or walk in their path.
Now, when you say purpose, what is my purpose? Are we talking about the universal purpose that why we're here? And many people can't even answer that question, unfortunately. Or do we mean something different, related to a situation?
Both, actually.
Hmm.
Usually in therapy, though, it has to do with what the purpose and the meaning is in the situation and in their life at that moment. And the patient could be um, searching for what their purpose is as well.
So let's look at that through the lens of somebody that went through a car accident, because you work with people in that capacity as well.
Mhm.
Would you be even asking that question? Like, all right, I was in a car accident. I've got some challenges, PTSD, maybe some medical challenges. Would they even be what's my purpose now? Would that even come into play there?
Well, what they normally ask is, what's the reason that this happened to me?
Sure.
Right? Like, what's the purpose of it all? And it's important to be able to ask the questions because, as a spiritual person, and that comes out in conversation with the patient, they will communicate if they're religious, if they're spiritual, because they'll talk about their belief system typically. And
Hmm.
sometimes I'll just ask, well, what do you believe in? And they let me know because then I take my cue from what I'm going to say from that answer.
You must get that, and it's understandable in a challenging situation. Why did this happen to me? Why
Mhm.
why do I have to go through this? What do you say to somebody who's saying that, and how do they process that from a spiritual standpoint?
From a spiritual standpoint, I will ask them in their past how their spiritual life is. Like when they've asked questions in the past and in their past experiences, what have they gained from those experiences? And it's easier to be able to talk about a past experience and getting an understanding of why it happened than to apply, well, what do you think then is the reason that you were in an accident this time? Like, what purpose is it? Is it that God is or the universe wants you to slow down?
Mm.
Were you going through life and not taking time to just breathe? Is are you being redirected to onto a different path?
It's interesting when you start looking at that, and I've been in those situations. Even last fall, I had this weird virus. Never get sick. I mean, like half my life I haven't had a fever. Put me down to bed, in bed for 4 days with a fever. Some other stuff presented, and I had acute laryngitis. This is what I do. Couldn't talk for a week and a half. Even the ear, nose, and throat doctor said that I may need therapy to learn how to talk again. I'm like, what? I believe that was the universe's way of saying, I'm slowing you down. You need
Hmm.
to take a look at things around you. We're tapping the brakes on you. And, the universe could have caused me to break a leg, whatever it might be. I'd still be able to function, but I couldn't even go to work.
Right.
And I am convinced it was the reset button going on there. So,
Yeah.
do you feel that we need to look at the lessons in all of this? And do you think things happen for a reason? Now that's a tough one when somebody's going through a big, challenging time like a car accident. Oh yeah, there was a reason that happened. Um, but was there? Is there? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are yes. Yes, that there's a reason there. It could be a lesson on compassion, it could be a lesson on patience, it could be a lesson on forgiveness, it could
Hmm.
be a lesson on redirecting, letting you know that you're in the wrong on your wrong path. You know, it
Hmm.
it really depends on who it is and what's been happening in their lives.
It's a tough one to swallow, but I agree with you.
Yeah,
It's like
it is. I mean, if you look back at your experience last year, you will have more perspective on it today than you did while you were having it.
a billion percent. I'm even trying to figure something out that happened last week and putting all the pieces together. I mean, we're going deep here. Can I share it with you? It's
Sure.
you know, I didn't know you were this spiritual, Miriam, being honest. Wonderful. Um, I'll laser this down. Had a flood here in the studio last week. Why? Watering some plants, specifically a plant that my mom had at her funeral 6 years ago. Still have it. And the water just something happened, and there was a flood here. Nothing major, but affected another office. Um, got that a company to come in and clean it up, and they're going to plug in the fans. The fans aren't working. Blow a circuit breaker. Go down the hallway, open a key, door, hold it, reset it, come back, blows again. Same deal. The crew's already left. Now I'm like, got to figure this out. Blows the circuit again. Take some power strips, put them all together, make an extension cord, go to another outlet. Then I realized why it was blowing. It's the same circuit plugged into a little refrigerator that my mom gave me 16 years ago. And that was a big deal. Like, son, you need a refrigerator in your office. So I've kept it. It works great. On top of that is that plant. I'm
Um,
convinced she's trying to tell me something. I've got signs before from her, very specific. I'm a skeptic. It's got to be specific. The water. Oh, and by the way, the week before there was a flood in the hallway here because the water fountain started. Somebody pressed the button. Somehow it locked on, spewing water all over the hallway. It stopped right
oh
at my
no.
office, but this time it didn't with the plant. And there's a message there. I'm trying to figure it out. I think it's connected to water, cleansing, movement. I don't know what it is, but I'm convinced she's trying to tell me something. I know it's like woo, deep, whatever, but when we talk about these things, there's a reason. There's a reason. That just didn't happen. There was a reason that happened. Haven't figured that one out yet,
Mhm.
but I know I will at some point. Everything gets revealed. I truly believe. Do you feel so?
I believe so. I
Hmm.
believe so. And water is a symbol of spirit.
Is it really?
Yeah.
How funny. We're talking about
Mhm.
spiritualism. Interesting.
It
Hmm.
is.
Wow. Um, what can we do to practice being spiritual? Certainly meditation be one of those, right?
Hmm. Meditation, yoga, that is a spiritual practice in itself. Um, any kind of meditation and movement, journaling, um,
Mm.
drawing, coloring, sketching. It really has to do with intention.
Yep.
And so if you're allowing the spirit to be present and allow you to be creative through the spirit and connection, then you'll be guided.
As crazy as it sounds, I believe another spiritual practice is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Do nothing. So many of us are running all over the place. I'm in a men's group. Man the other night said, he's got some challenges going on, but he's really like sharp and strong-willed, and he's just trying to process all of this. And we look at him and we said, when was the last time you sat in silence by yourself? And he thought, he's like, never. Well, you need to do that. You need to do that. I've done it. I've fortunately got a beach around here. I've driven to the beach, sat there, no phone, no music, no nothing, windows open, breeze, water, and I've driven away an hour later with clarity, and just it's amazing, but it's so simple, but we don't do it because we even breath work. We take it for granted. We breathe. The first thing we do when we're coming into this world, last thing we do is we take a breath, and we don't realize how amazingly impactful that can be as a reset for your body, your mind, and everything else, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, every year I schedule myself for a private silent retreat for a week. I try to go. And I've been on enough retreats that I, at this point, guide myself. And all I do is I sit, I before the retreat comes, I just pay attention to the symbols and see what the theme is going to be about. And then I focus on whatever that theme is. And
Mm.
I am quiet and silent by myself for a week.
In closing, and maybe we can even pick up next time from this point. First time in my life, just what you said, I did it 8 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2 days in, very tough. And it wasn't a official retreat. I just went away just to be by myself and just like read, relax, reflect.
Mm-hmm.
The first 2 days was torture. Like I just couldn't like slow down. After that, wonderful. I met a horse in a field next door. I would hang out with that horse. I would feed it, give it water. We became buddies. I named it Charlie. And just you don't realize how amazing this stuff can be because it just seems cheesy, but no, it's the answer. It's the answer.
Yeah.
How do we connect with you? If somebody's trying to dig deep spiritually or just kind of figure this all out or going through some challenges and this is resonating, what's the best way?
They can go to www.pippna.com or they can call 856-548-9557.
Thank you for today. Thank you for revealing a side of you and your practice I didn't even know existed. And, everything so far has been wonderful, but, even more so today. Yeah, we're on the same page and hopefully others are as well, because it's my personal feeling, and I think you might agree, you need some spiritualism in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's what they were practicing thousands of years ago. and
Yep.
and we're still talking about it. All right. Have a great weekend. We'll talk soon, okay?
Do the same.
Thanks.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.